The time of intensive garden work is approaching, so if you have already started slowly with sowing and planting plants, it is the right time to plan your garden. There are many reasons why this is important. You do everything right, prepare the soil, plant the plants correctly, but the results are not as they should be. You wouldn't believe how much damage you can do to the end result just by planting the wrong plants next to each other. With proper planning, you will ensure the full use of your garden, and the plants will be healthier, stronger, and therefore give more beautiful fruit. If you want to do all the work in time, follow our channel because we bring you all the important tips in a timely manner. Leave a like of support under the video and stay with us in the comments, share your experience or ask for advice. So let's go to work. Crop rotation is the correct spatial and temporal change of crops on a certain area. It consists of crop rotation, that is, time change of crops, and rotation in spatial change of crops. It is recommended for most vegetable crops and should be at least 3 to 4 years. In vegetable production, it is quite difficult to stay with the crop rotation, especially if it is grown in a protected area and a small area by a small producer. The duration of the vegetation of vegetable species also possesses a problem, which is why 2, 3, or even 4 species can be alternated on the same area or the same bed during the year. For example, spring onions or radishes in the spring, fruiting vegetables in the summer, endivia, lettuce, and chard in the fall or winter. If the same species are alternated on one bed every year, this is not crop rotation. If a crop is said to come first in the crop rotation, this means that it is grown after fertilization with manure. There are several reasons for introducing crop rotation. The reasons are mutual tolerance of crops, protection from diseases and pests that attack the same or related species of vegetable, protection from weeds, maintenance of humus levels and favorable soil structure, different water consumption and nutrient use by different crops, different rooting depth of crops and cultivation depth. Failure to comply with crop rotation causes deterioration of soil quality and fatigue. It mainly leads to the accumulation of plant disease and pest agents, depletion of similar nutrients from the soil, degradation of soil structure, and chemical reactions. So, what are the best precursor crops for the most important vegetable crops? For tomatoes, that would be legumes and root vegetables. For peppers, perennial grasses and legumes, root vegetables. For brassicas, that are potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, perennial grasses and legumes, root vegetables. For peas and legumes, those are tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, wheat, barley. For root vegetables, we sow tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and beans. For cucumbers and watermelons, those are peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, perennial and annual grasses, and legumes. And for onions, those are peppers, cucumbers, watermelons, and wheat. The easiest way to plan a 4-year, 4-field crop rotation for 4 beds is to group the planted crops and arrange them as shown in this table. Here we will show you how it should be looking like, and we will tell all the plants that are inside of this table. On the A list, we have leaves and flowers, brassicas that are cabbage, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi, radish, turnips, Chinese cabbage, and head crops, lettuce, endivia, chicory, and artichoke. On the B list, we have roots like carrots, celery, parsley, parsnips, dill, fennel. And then we have onions, garlic, leek, chives, shallots. And leaf crops, beetroot, Swiss chard, spinach, and garden chard. On the list C, we have fruits, side crops like tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and potatoes. And we have cucurbits like cucumbers, melons, watermelons, zucchini, and pumpkin. And on the D list, we have legumes like beans, peas, broad beans, lentils, chickpeas, and soybeans. And what does this mean? It means, like, for example, that if peas were grown on the first bed this spring and cabbage was planted in the summer, the following year it is recommended to sow carrots or beets and plant onion sets on it. In addition to knowing crop rotation or the sequence of crops, it is also important to know which crops can be grown next to each other on the same bed. Over the years of growing in the garden, it has been noticed that in some combinations the plants grow vigorously, while in others they don't. This happens because certain species secrete more or less phytoncides. Phytoncides are different biologically active substances produced by plants which affect the life processes of neighboring plants and organisms in the soil. Species from the same family are generally not combined. Plants from the same family need the same nutrients and are generally attacked by the same pests and diseases. Therefore, excellent combinations of species on one bed are those that have different nutrient needs and can best utilize soil resources without the need for additional fertilization. They have different deep roots and external growth, so each loosens the soil and takes up space in a different way. For example, onions and lettuce or onions and carrots. Plants that have been sown next to each other repel pests with their scent or protect each other from diseases. Based on experience, tables of good and bad neighbors in the garden have been created, or instructions on how best to combine plants in a flower bed. In addition to a combination of 2 or more vegetable species, a combination with herbs and medicinal plants is also common. Its scent repels some pests or its flowers attract pollinators. We have tried to create a table and a graphic representation for you of how a garden should look if crop rotation and good neighborly relations between plants are respected. You can take a picture of your phone screen and save the image so that you always have a reminder. And you can always stop the video and look for the transcription under it. If you are a fan of recording and monitoring the state of the garden, that is always my favorite option. I write everything down. Below the video, you have the transcription sign in the description. There you have one click to access the transcript of the entire text in the video in the desired language. We have invested a lot of effort in translating and writing the text so that this information is available to everyone and so that those who prefer to read can study in detail what interests them. Soon we will prepare more similar topics for you, but specially related to individual plants, who they like, who they don't, and such topics. Of course, as the time comes for other topics, there will be talk about protection, watering, natural preparations for feeding, and everything that I believe you will be interested in. I hope that now you have a thought on how you should make an arrangement in your garden, which plants to plant where, and if you have any questions, write to us in the comments, where you can also share all of your experiences on this topic. I like to see this as a friendship where we can hang out, write our experiences, share success and failure. Let's make growing plants easier for each other because in gardening, experience is the first battle. You literally learn from mistakes, which is why we share our experience with you. Of course, to the volume of our work, we also have failures and mistakes. It's all for people. The biggest factor is the weather conditions that often cause us a big problem, but we fight and solve challenges as they come. So, friends, support our work, share the video with your friends and social networks, and stay with us throughout the year to enjoy healthy meals that you have grown yourself 365 days a year. Thank you for all of your support.